All right, it's Friday, so that means it's time for another episode of, you ready? Itty Bitty Podcast presents Friends Friday. Boom. New name for the new show that we're doing on Fridays, apparently. So every Friday from now on, for the foreseeable future, just while everything's kind of crazy, we're going to be doing an extra podcast. We've already done like 3 or 4 of them. And so now we're just throw a name on it. So it'll be Friend Friday. And I'm going to do a podcast with, some friends that I haven't maybe talked to regularly or that I don't talk to on a regular basis. But I try to keep in touch with people as much as I can. And obviously with life, and like, I'm not just going to call somebody when I don't have anything to say either, like I can follow you on social media and root for your success without, blowing your phone up and shit. But anyway, so this week I had my buddy Chris on. We go way back, since second grade. We both used to be a couple of fat fucks and lost a bunch of weight, and now we're into fitness and stuff. So we talked a little bit about that, and we talked about what you can do during the coronavirus to kind of get some workouts in. We talked about all types of stuff. We told some stories from back in the day. It involves almost the homicide of a giraffe. Not really a homicide. It would be like manslaughter because it was an accident. But yeah, whatever the equivalent of manslaughter to a giraffe is. But yeah, so I don't really have an intro for this. It'll be just like another episode. So I guess get ready to hang out and be friends with us.
Welcome to the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. It's the Itty Bitty Podcast. The Itty Bitty Podcast.
All right, we're starting. We're fucking recording. So we just been doing some extra episodes of the show with everything shut down. So these go out on like Friday, and then the regular show will go out on Tuesday. So I've been having friends on the show. If you've been listening, normally we have like a different guest with a different topic. So this week I have one of my oldest friends on the show, not like oldest in age, because otherwise he'd be like probably dead from coronavirus right now, but oldest as far as like longest friendships. We've known each other since like second grade or some shit, or earlier than that, or
Definitely.
so my friend Chris is here to chat with me for a little bit. We're gonna hang out and fucking video chat because that's apparently what you do now. So how you doing, bud?
I'm doing super awesome. This is my first podcast ever, so I'm a little not nervous. I don't know what the right word is.
Yeah, nobody ever knows what to expect when they come on. It's just like it's just a conversation. We'll get there. We'll be good, But I wanted to talk to you because you have like a weird, not weird, but like you went to Alaska for like marine biology, but then you ended up staying there and working in the restaurant industry. And then now you're like a spin instructor.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
pretty
definitely
much
a weird story for sure. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. So yeah, I came to Alaska pursuing marine biology, got that degree. Still love it. It just was one of those fields that had I been more mature at 18, I would have realized I should probably do more research in what comes after your degree, which is hopefully, if you're afforded the opportunity, more education to eventually get to a place where you get paid. So with a bachelor's degree in marine biology, you either don't get paid or you pay other people to do work. So I couldn't sustain that. And while I was going through school, I worked in the dining field, I guess you could say. I never really went into the restaurants out here, though. I kind of stopped that when I left Massachusetts. But at the same time, I did do dining on campus to just kind of pay for stuff. I started as a student worker, and then eventually I became the director of that dining operation, which led me to pursuing a business degree. And yeah, so it's been kind of crazy. And then on the side, I got really kind of heavily into fitness, which if you knew me prior to this
Yeah, you're
podcast,
yoked
and
now.
prior to me, yeah, well, I don't know about that, but I don't know what that means either. But yeah, so prior to moving to Alaska, you would not expect that of me. So that made me start doing these spin class things, and then I loved it because I got to play music. Pretty much, I got to be a DJ, and so I've been doing that for a few years now.
How long have you been doing
awesome.
spin, you said?
As an instructor, just over 2 years. I think I started, about 2 years ago.
Is that what you started when you got into fitness? Was spin first, or what did you get into first?
No, I actually got into running first, so it was like 2000.
I
don't know,
fucking hate
10-ish?
running. I hate it.
I actually still hate
I
it
can't
too.
get into
Even then, when I was doing it all the time, I hated it. But
I work out every day now, and I can't get myself to run. Like, I can't do it. I just don't like it. I feel like it fucks up my knees too, but I don't know.
yeah, I don't think I've ever felt great after, especially long runs. I've done quite a few half marathons and relays and stuff that have extensive distances for me, somebody my size. And I always love finishing, but I've never like mid-run been like, man, this is the best fucking thing I could ever be doing right now.
I think
It's-
everybody loves finishing, bud.
That's true. But there are people that love the act of running, and there hasn't been a time where I've looked at my watch or something and been like, you know what, I've been running for 48 minutes now, and I'm just loving life. I want to run forever.
Right.
Happens to me.
So then you went from running, and then what? What did you get into next?
Then I got into just straight outdoor bicycling. I love that a lot. I
So
still do a lot of that.
outdoor bicycling came before spin?
Yeah.
Okay.
Spin class really didn't happen until Brian, my brother, he and his wife were like, Chris, you should check this out. I think you'd like it. It's like being in a club. It's super loud. And I remember saying to him, like, that sounds like the cheesiest fucking thing a person could do. And they asked me, I don't even know how many times to go with them. And eventually I was like, all right, fine, fuck it. Like, YOLO, right? You don't know if you don't go. So I went and I was like, fuck, I hate how much I liked that.
Yeah.
And,
Where I'm at right now, there's not too many, like, we're in the sticks. So there's one gym, but it's like 30, 35 minutes away. So I just decided, I'm like, I'm not going to, there's no way. At one point I was working like 2.5 hours round trip from where I live. So it was like I was on the road for 2.5 hours. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to go to the gym and then get home. So I started working out at home, and I've been doing that consistently for 2 years. I got down, I was at like 240 when I started, and I got down to like 189, and then I went on vacation or something. I got back up to like 200, and now I'm about 197. But I can't get back down to that, especially now since my wife's pregnant and the shutdown. It's like we've only got a certain amount of food we have to use up, and like you can't really keep too many vegetables, and so it's kind of hard to keep yourself on track. But I've been trying to as best as I can with everything the way it is.
yeah, for sure, man. I've been a huge fan of like the AMRAP workouts you can do at home and combining those with eating, but I commend you. I've still not broken the 200 number. And I know that it's just a number. I'm so freaking close, but it's just hovered at 210 for the better part of a year, which I'm happy with, like compared to where I was. So
I'm excited for like once all this stuff's over and I move to a place where there's more fitness places, just because I've never, like when I was in high school, I was like I think when I was at my most fit in high school, I was like 225, and I was lifting all the time. So I was more fat than muscle. But then, yeah, so once I got under 200, like I just feel a lot less weight that I'm carrying around. And so I feel like I can do a little bit more. So I'm excited to try different things. I like doing yoga a lot. Pilates is really fun. Like I like to do Pilates. When I do Pilates, I feel like I lose the most weight, to be honest with you. Like I'll do Pilates for 2 weeks straight and I'll notice weight loss as long as I keep my diet somewhat in check. Just from because you build so much heat doing that shit. But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've never done Pilates. Maybe I should check that out. See, all those like, I categorize them as like hipster type workout things, even though they're really not. They're just so mainstream now. But I never really did yoga until about 2 months ago, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. I did the DDPY one, the Diamond Dallas Page one. I did that one, and that one was better for me. I liked it a little bit more because I wasn't crazy flexible, so they kind of gear it more towards people who aren't as flexible, and they kind of build you up into being more flexible. So I got to get back into it, but yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Now you can get your feet around behind the back of your head.
No, but I can like touch my palms to the ground and shit, like no problem, and like I couldn't do that when I started. But Pilates, yeah, I used to make fun of people who did Pilates. I'm like, it's like a chick workout. And like, when you do that shit, it'll kick your ass. Like you don't expect it to, you just start doing it and it's easy motions. It's not difficult motions. And a lot of it is on the ground. So it tricks you into being like, oh, this is an easy workout. And so I'll do it sometimes thinking like tricking myself into like, oh, I'm taking a rest day and I'll do Pilates. And then I'm just sweating by the end of that workout because it just gets all up in your core. So I recommend trying it out if you haven't done it before. So,
are you doing it through an online program? You doing YouTube videos? How are you doing it?
I'm sure you can get it on YouTube for free, but I've had it's called Daily Burn. You can do it on your PlayStation. You can do it on PlayStation. It's not great because you got to go through like the website, but you could do it on your phone, tablet, and so we use that. We've been doing that since we've lived in Washington, just because everything's so spread out where we live. So since like 2015 we've been doing it, but like the last 2 years I've been doing every day, and then I'll take my rest days, and so I'll take days off every once in a while, but I try not to.
Yeah, for sure. If you're trying to get super into flexibility, there's a program that we've been doing for the last couple months called ROMWOD. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It is hard as hell, dude. Check it out. Like, see if you can find a YouTube video or something just to try it out.
What is it called?
ROMWOD, ROMWOD, I believe. It basically puts you in positions of flexibility and has you hold them for a lot longer than you find comfortable. So instead of holding a position for like 10 seconds, it has you hold positions for like 4 or 5 minutes at a time. So that like by the end of it, you are in pain almost, but it's great after.
So now with everything basically shut down, I'm assuming, are you not able to do spin classes right now?
Yeah, so it's been kind of weird. We've been doing them sort of virtually, where the instructor goes one at a time to the studio and sets up like a camera system, and it's just bizarre. It's something that we didn't really train to do. So we go from having a room full of people where you're interacting and you're looking at a human to looking at this camera and hoping that it's coming through the way that you intend it. And, but anyway, we've been doing that. I've only done one so far. I have another one tomorrow morning.
Do you do like live, like Instagram live?
No, I don't think they're running them live right now. Depending on how long this goes, it wouldn't shock me if that came to be. It's, it seems like every day it's being extended another 15 days. So
yeah, it's like the 30th right now. That's what they've extended it to, I think. Yeah, I wasn't expecting to have a child during the apocalypse. Nobody told me that shit. They weren't like, yeah, this is what's going to be happening when you're going to be having a kid. So I'm like, oh, cool. This is awesome. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I mean, I've just been laying low anyway because I've been off work for a while. So I was already like preparing for this shit. But it's kind of crazy just to think about how everything's changed so quickly. But yeah, I feel like you should still be able to do those type of spin classes and stuff virtually. I think once you do it a couple times, you'll probably get more used to it. But I've seen a lot of that now. It's like a lot of online, like the Daily Burn thing that I do. You can check it out actually right now. they do on, if you go to their Instagram page, it's like Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they do free workouts on their live. So it'll be on their story for 24 hours. So the one from today will be up there for 24 hours. I did the one today. It's actually a really good workout with a dude who's from Massachusetts. But yeah, Monday,
cool.
Wednesday, Friday, they do free ones on their Instagram live. So I've seen a lot of that, like a lot of free live trainings and stuff, like just people trying to get the word out now.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, I think it's probably the way of the world anyway. Like, forget COVID-19. I'm a member of a gym here, and they're just not packed. Even after New Year's, when you would expect that subscription to just skyrocket, people don't go. And being in Alaska, it's a little weird. I think a lot of people in our age group and younger are just generally more into fitness than prior generations anyways. But Alaska is one of those places where most people, when the sun's out or it's not winter, dead of winter, people are outside. They don't recreate in gyms because almost everything that you can do at a gym, you can do on a mountain or on a trail or something like that. So it is
Right.
a little unique here. But even when I visited Boston back a few years ago, it was impressive to me, like that green belt and how everything has just transitioned to like biking around the city and really like navigating the city using your power rather than motor vehicles, which is to me kind of cool. I kind of wish that I jumped on this bandwagon earlier than my 20s, but hey, we're here now.
Yeah, I mean, once you get to a certain age, I feel like you either go one of two ways where you're just like, you can get old. I see a lot of old people that walk around, their necks are all fucked up and like they walk with a limp. And I'm like, I don't want to do that shit. So I figure I'll take care of myself now, and then I don't have to worry about it as much. I mean, I'm sure I'm still going to have issues just from all the dumb shit I did when I was a kid, but it's still, yeah, you got to take care of yourself. And some people just get to that point where they're like, well, fuck it, I'm already at this age, so I'm just not going to even bother trying, and then you just kind of let yourself go. But I like working out. Once you get into that mode of doing it all the time and doing it on a regular basis, it just gets like fun. And then once I finish my workout for the day, I'm like, yeah, I'm done. And like I finished it so early today that I'm already thinking about doing a second one later today. So I'm like,
Heck yeah, man. And I think it's been my experience with kids that they will bring it out of you even when you don't want to. So like my daughters, I have two. One is 4 and one is 2. The first year, kind of obviously they're a baby, but once they start crawling and really interacting with you, like you can start workouts from basically day one. And so kind of on the daily, they're doing this thing called Cosmic Kids, which is a yoga program to Disney music or something stupid like that. But they love it. Like they ask to do it, which is awesome. And to get them outside onto a bike or whatever has been really easy. Because you're instilling it at such a young age. And it's something that like you and I, we just didn't have that happen when we were growing up. Like my family didn't focus on fitness at all. And I think part of it was time, right? Like our parents' generation were the first generation where everybody was divorced and single. So I totally recognize why there was probably no time to do it. But I think priorities were just different than like what you will be with your kid and
right.
Our generation in general.
Well, yeah, I think like when we were, people just didn't know as much either. Like when we were growing up, I didn't know until I met my wife that she was like, she would look at the label on stuff and we would end up buying stuff without high fructose corn syrup. And like, I talked to my doctor, I don't know how accurate this is, but I talked to my doctor at one point and he was checking me for like, diabetes and all that stuff, and everything was clear. And this was this is before I even had started losing weight. And he said, a lot of that stuff correlates with high fructose corn syrup. And like, I didn't know about any of that shit. But I was definitely a bigger kid. I know you were a bigger kid too. Like I would make fun of you for being a bigger kid just to take away from the fact that I was a bigger kid. And then we both kind of got older, and you lost weight, what, in high school, or when did you start losing weight?
Probably right the first year of college. So when everybody went to freshman 15, I went to freshman -30 or something like that, which was awesome. But
yeah, I mean, that's the way you got to do it. You can't, if you let yourself fall into those traps where it's like, oh, you're going to go and do, people like to project their shit on you. They're like, oh, you're gonna do this, and you're gonna get, you're gonna go to college and gain that freshman 15, and it's like, you might do that, but I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, have I told you that I'm having a daughter? I don't know if I've told you that.
I think I had asked if you knew at the time, but I wasn't sure. I was going to ask you again today. So no, congratulations. That's super exciting.
Thank you. Yeah. We're definitely like going to be getting into some survival skills for sure. We're going to be learning how to fucking like self-defense. We're going to be learning how to, kill zombies and shit. So we're going to be learning all types of stuff. Yeah, so it's supposed to be July, so who knows what's going on. I mean, it's crazy right now with everything that's going on. Your kids aren't old enough to be in school or anything right now.
No, they're not old enough to be in public schools, but my job had a sort of preschool type daycare thing that is really structured available. So they go to that. And they're basically, to me, getting a really good early education before they even start school. And I don't know if I say that it's really good because I pay a lot of money for it or if it's actually really good. But I really do believe that since they started there, that their ability to just recall information and to learn new things is skyrocketed, which is huge. And if nothing else, they're getting that social interaction that, man, too many kids. That's the one thing that, like, we just talked about fitness and how it's a priority for a lot of people in the current generation and growing up or whatever. But the one downside to me is they don't know how to interact with people, period, like almost at all. It really stresses me out, actually, when I try to have a conversation with a traditional college freshman or something, and they can't look you in the eye, and they can't, like, you ask them, hey, how are you? It's like you're interrogating them. They don't know, like, how to interact with a person that's not really all that much older than they are. That part depresses me. So the social interaction to me at such a young age, I think, is huge. Who knows what happens from here, but
I know this could be the way that we're living from it, like living in a bunker, just talking on screens, and we're like, oh, those fucking kids had it right. They already know how to do this. We're over here trying to learn TikTok, and they've already mastered the universe. So,
hey, I'm getting good at the whoa, though. Look at this.
I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast before or not, but we went to, I forget how old we were, but we went on vacation. My mom one year asked me where I wanted to go for my vacation, and I was like, I want to go to the Quick Stop. Oh shit, I just broke my pen. I want to go to the Quick Stop to see where Jay and Silent Bob, or where Clerks was filmed. And so I brought you and I brought my buddy Tom, and we went to New Jersey, and we went to the Quick Stop in Leonardo, New Jersey, and then we went to the Jay and Silent Bob Secret Stash comic book store in Red Bank, and then we went to Busch Gardens or Six Flags Safari or some shit. I can't remember what it was. It was one where you drive through, and we had a minivan at the time, and we
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And we had sticks in the car because we were camping. So we had, like, little kindling and shit that was just kind of lying around in the car. So my mom had her window open, and you were sitting, but we had taken the middle seat completely out of the minivan. So you two were in the back and I was in the front, and you started taking little twigs and we were trying to put them through the window, and my mom started yelling at you. And so she's like basically shut the window, shut you down. So you were like, all right, I don't know what went through your head, but you decided that you were going to open the door to feed this giraffe this stick. And as soon as the door popped open, that fucking giraffe, like, damn near went up on 2 feet, took off running, almost ran into the car behind us, and then just like sprinted off all fucking scared. My mom was so mad. She was like, you asshole. And she called you an asshole for about 10 minutes, and then she just started dying laughing, like she saw the humor in it. But yeah, that shit was so funny. Almost killed the giraffe way back in the day.
Dude, I forgot about that. Most of that story, like, I recall the giraffe running away. I don't remember her calling me an asshole, so it's good that didn't scar me for very long.
No, she called you an asshole constantly. Like, she. But in her
I
defense, you
probably-
usually were trying to piss her off, and then you realize that like you would get further by pissing me off. So you would like.
Yeah.
So my mom would just like love when you would be around, because then you went from going annoying her all the time to doing shit to annoy me all the time, and like yeah, so it was fun though.
Yep.
But yeah, that story just
Yeah.
always pops in my head, and I thought it was funny to bring that up because you were here for that. So
When you were first bringing up vacations, I immediately went to, what were we, juniors in high school or close to it, when we went to San Francisco.
yeah,
I was trying to recall what the heck could have happened on that vacation that you're about to talk about just now, but I totally forgot about the New Jersey one.
no, San Francisco. I just remember the picture that we have from where we like. We probably wouldn't get away with it now, but it says like slow children present, the slow children present, and we're sitting there with drool in our mouth and shit, like looking off all awkward and stuff. So we took a picture in front of that sign. I remember that. I remember the zigzaggy road. I feel like there was
Yeah.
something else that happened when we were out there. We went out and visited
I
my
remember-
mom's friend Terry, right?
Yeah, and I, for some reason, distinctly just remember the highlight of the vacation for me. Why, I don't know, but like, was being at the Oceanside at the pier there where the Bushman guy was.
Bushman, yeah,
Black-
he's dead. That motherfucker died.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no way to know how old he was then, right? But he's been known for quite some time. So
Well, he wasn't that old. He actually had like he made a lot of money. He drove around in a nice car and stuff. He wasn't homeless. He was just an entertainer. But yeah, he just said he would sit down there and scare people. He would sit behind the little bush thing and scare the shit out of people. And if he'd get you, he'd be like, "You got to pay me, motherfucker." And he would say it just like that.
what a good business platform.
Yeah. If I get you, you got to pay me. So I'm trying to think of what else we did there. I know we did more than that. I want to say we did some gay shit. Not like me and you did some gay shit, but I feel like there was some, because my mom was friends with all the gays in San Francisco, and so I feel like we did did something. Maybe went to Castro or something.
Sure.
I don't remember, but
I'm sure we did something that had my family on edge.
hanging out with my mom, the super lefty.
Yeah, they thought I was going to come back dressed as, I don't know, like a unicorn or something with a butt plug or something.
Like you were just gonna hop in on a pogo stick shoved up your ass.
Yeah, my family, I wish that I could say that they've gotten better over time, but they've effectively, they being a general they, there are a few that don't really care either way, but they've gone so far to the right in a lot of ways, more than it was then. And thankfully, I've been removed from it for long enough that I feel like I'm pretty grounded politically, and I would probably slap the shit out of my 10th grade self.
Well, you can go too far left too. Like my mom's gonna be pissed for me saying this, but I don't give a fuck. She's almost gone too far left to where it's like we've got to get Donald Trump out at all costs. Like it doesn't matter if the Democrats are putting up like a candidate like Joe Biden who's almost as bad as Trump. He's just he's just got a blue tie on and shit. So you can't go too far to the left as well. That's why I try to do the same shit, man. Just right down the middle. It's just, but you got to keep yourself informed, and it's hard because there's a lot of misinformation out there. I think that's a big issue right now with everything that's going on. It's like people don't know where to get their information from, and so
totally.
It's just a lot of confusion. Yeah. So what? So you've said you now fall more like in the middle.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the middle. Like I would say that I'm fiscally still pretty conservative. I count my pennies and dimes, right? But at the same time, there's so many social progressive movements and programs that I tend to agree with and support too. So
I feel like there's just basic shit.
Yeah.
There's just basic shit that it's just like it's a no-brainer. And it's like then you see other countries that have it and you're like, well, why the fuck don't we have that shit? And
right.
And you see people fighting back and forth. It's like you guys are fighting over the same people. Like they're the same fucking people. They all hang out together. They're all the same people. Like
Yep.
it's so yeah. It's just it's funny though. It's entertaining, I guess. I will say that Donald Trump is funny as fuck. Like he makes me laugh. Like genuinely makes me fucking
he's
laugh.
definitely funny.
Like
Yeah, he does.
we did a podcast a couple weeks ago. It was like the first one we did because as soon as they locked everything down, I was like, well, fuck, I'll just do an extra podcast. People are looking for shit to listen to. And so if you listen to the first one we did, the first bonus one, we're talking about coronavirus. And then the next one we're calling it the Chinese virus. And then now we're calling it like COVID-19. And so that one where he's calling it China, he's like, it's from China. I'm just like, dude, we were fucking dying. I could not stop laughing. It's so funny. He knows what he's doing. Like, you know exactly what the fuck you're doing, but it's just fucking
totally.
hilarious.
He says it in a different font.
Right. So what do you do besides, like, I know you're a dad, that shit takes up a lot of time. Do you have any hobbies that you do besides working out? Oh, I got the corona, my bad.
Recently I've been so engrossed or involved in my professional development that I've been doing a lot of schooling and just reading a lot. So I would say a hobby would just be learning, I guess. But yeah, I'm trying to just recall like what a typical day for me looks like, but for the most part, I just kind of, I'm a dad, and then I do my work, and I don't really have much time for too much stuff, which is terrible to say out loud. I've never really realized it until you just asked me that question. But I think in time it'll get better. I'm trying to work toward at the university setting. I'm now teaching online courses, but teaching statistics and sort of math-based courses. And everything that I do in life, I just try to know more than I need to about really whatever I'm doing. And so I have these students who are generally working in the medical field. They're nurses or they're admins at hospitals or that type of stuff. That's just the type of student that we typically have. And so for me, I'm very fluent, you could say, in statistical analysis and stuff like that, but I wasn't, and still am not super versed in how it applies to the medical field, because I learned it at the scientific level for biology and life sciences. So I've been doing a lot of research in how do we apply this stuff so that we can model and analyze data for stuff like even coronavirus. Like I've been talking about coronavirus in my class every single week. Just to stay on top of it and try to use it as an opportunity to develop or further develop that skill of modeling and predicting and that type of stuff. So I'm pretty interested in, I guess, the current contemporary data and the movements for modeling and predictions. And so all that stuff that you're seeing, I don't know how much you've gone into coronavirus in yourself, but there's a model out there called CHIME. I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but they're pretty popular in the current wave of trying to figure out what coronavirus is going to do, how long it's going to be where it's at, when the peak is going to hit, and it's all based on just data that they've gathered. So stuff like that's super intriguing to me. So I would say a hobby is learning super nerdy things like that.
Shit. I mean, I learned, that's why I do a podcast. I try to do, like, normally when we do a podcast, we do different guests, and I'll try to learn about different topics. Just because I suck at reading. I try to read. I'll read like articles and shit, but like I try to get a book, and I have 3 books right now sitting next to me, and I'm like, I try to do it and I just can't. So I have to like talk to people, and so that's why I do the podcast. And I'll talk to people about different things and try to learn some new shit. So as you get older, you have to learn shit. I sold phones for like 2.5, 3 years, for not 3 years, something like that. And you'd have people that would come in, and they're, in their 60s and 70s, and their whole thing is, well, I didn't grow up using this technology. You did. Like, I didn't grow up using it. Like, I got this shit the same time as you. you have to learn how to, like, there's no cutoff point when you have to stop learning. Like, I got this technology the same time as you. This was 14 years ago. I started learning how to use it. You chose to brush it off, and now everything works this way. And now you're coming to me telling me that I don't know how to use this because I didn't grow up with it. I didn't either,
Yeah.
you know? So there's no point when you have to stop learning. I think you can tell when people do consider themselves done at learning. You know, they're just dumber. They just they come off as more ignorant and shit. So what does that look? You look
Yeah,
like
for sure. My wife was trying to ask me a question while you were talking.
Oh no, you look like you were being held hostage or something.
Can't help. Can't help, no. No, I would agree. It's kind of, I think about this a lot just from a existential sort of view, where like I talk to people that are our age kind of a lot, right? Because they're our age.
Right.
And you and I, like, we weren't terrible students, but we weren't great. Like, I'll be the first to admit that. And it wasn't because we didn't have the aptitude or anything like that. I really don't believe that, based on what I'm currently doing and like just chatting with you now. What's interesting to me, and something that would never be popular, especially, among the younger voters, but I really think that the school system should try to figure out a way to make schooling longer before we have to pay for it in college. Or if social sort of welfare, for lack of a better term, and paying for college isn't a priority, like, I really wish for myself that high school went until I was like 21 or 22, because I feel like I would have figured out a lot of shit that I didn't figure out until my mid-20s, such that I could have been put on a trajectory or like at a better spot in my life, where reading was a priority and learning was a priority, and like all of these things that I didn't figure out until I got all that stupid shit out of my system between 18 and 22, that I think a lot of people go into. And when you apply it to the larger scale, I think a lot about that national debt, particularly with regard to student loans. Like, national debt in general, I don't think is solvable, but the student loan problem that I think that we have might be partially solvable if we figured out a way to make students care about their learning before they start taking out loans for college.
Right.
I'm in that boat too. I owe way more than I should for student loans for a degree that I'm not going to use anymore. So it's not all of them. It includes me. It's frustrating when I'm thinking in hindsight how much money I owe for something I'm never going to use, even though the education was really brilliant and it was awesome for me and profound, and I don't regret it. I don't regret what I got out of it, but I'm contributing to this big disaster, such that if I were to lose my job or get in dire straits, I would stop paying my student loans, which would effectively hurt the economy.
Yeah. I heard somebody say, I can't remember where I heard it, but like the best way I had heard it, and I had never really thought about it this way, was like, we have K through 12, so why not just make it K through 16 and then do it like that? Like, public education is free. We already have K through 12, just do K through 16, do the extra 4 years, and then, but I don't know. Again, I don't know how well that idea would be implemented, and I know Bernie Sanders wants to do his education plan and stuff, but I think we do need to overhaul education, because like, people have so many debts. I'm lucky. I dropped out of school. When I went to college, I knew almost immediately. I was like, this shit's not for me. But I had fun partying, so I stayed in for like an extra year that I probably shouldn't have, just because I like to party. And I just knew immediately, like, this shit's not for me. And so as a result, now I've paid off my last student loans like, years ago. So I don't have any student loans, and my wife doesn't have any student loans as well. And so like, we're very fortunate that we don't have to worry about that. But especially now with everything being shut down, like all these student loans that people have, it's just, I can't imagine how people are going to pay them. So.
Yeah, dude. Like, in a lot of ways, I envy people that learned that early enough that they don't have the student loan thing looming over them. Like, you can still get good jobs. All the job force really requires is like application of your talent. It doesn't necessitate a degree always, right? Like, I think the degree gets you in the door sometimes for the interview, but there are so many people I've met in all walks of life that like are making it much more successfully than I'll even ever like dream to make it. They don't have a college degree. Like all they had was the drive to do something. And damn it, went out and did it without all this college debt. And those suckers like myself, I say that lightly and kind of in jest, but like to some degree, I think that there's truth to it. Like I'm a sucker for buying into like you have to go to college because it was forced down our throats.
Well, you feel weird, like you feel like you're less than, you feel like you're not, because everybody else is like, oh, this is what you have to do this, you have to do this. But yeah, but then there was people that had the foresight, like the internet was coming out around there, and like if you looked to the internet and you're like, all right, well, this is where the future's going, and you can learn damn near anything from the internet, like anything. So you can basically you can get your whole education. Like I've learned so many tricks about how to make money and stuff just from being home. So I have like a whole system and stuff in place set up to make money from home while I'm not working. You just learn shit online. That's the way you do it. I can't remember where I was going with that. But what did you say prior to that? Sorry, I don't fucking remember what we were talking about. Just a minute, I lost my train of thought.
It was just
shit happens.
I was just commenting on like how commendable it is for people that did realize like, hey, college might not be for me.
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Because they do. It's like, you have to do it. And, if you really just stop and look and say, this shit's not for me, it saves you a lot of headache in the long run. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, part of it's, I think, forced in a way, or, it's manipulated, it's created in a way such that, like a policy comes out and it says that it has to be, whatever the field is, something has to be managed by some other thing, some other entity. I think a good example is a lot of states, including Alaska, have the marijuana initiative going out, and whether or not you make it legal. And then it turns into this big policy thing. Well, how do we manage it? And like all this shit. So all these new jobs are created that require degrees, for the sake of requiring degrees so that people can get paid stupid amounts of money. Otherwise, I really just don't see how it's managed well. And effectively, the whole point of the industry was to create a new revenue opportunity to offset state or local debts, right? And it's just nuts to me. I think about the economy a lot and like how we spend and receive money. The military one, I don't think we'll ever figure out. Like, I think the United States is pretty well versed in understanding that our job as the United States is to police the world. So I don't think that one's even on the table for discussion, regardless of your political affiliation. So we have to figure out something else. And there's so many people out there, like you said, that saw the internet as the future and figured out all the stuff that we didn't even realize we needed. And all these tech companies, they don't even know what we need. But what they do is they design a product and they tell us why we need it, and then we go out and buy it. You were in the phone sales, that that's true.
Yeah, I was bad though, because I would only sell I would sell phones and shit. Like I got to a point where like if I started to realize like a piece of equipment was a piece of shit, like I wouldn't sell it. And they'd be like, no, you have to sell these. I'm like, no, I don't. They don't work. Like it makes more work for me to sell you this device, and I know it's going to get returned. And so, but they were like, no, we need to get, their thing was activations. And so they wanted new customers and stuff. But yeah, the whole thing was like every year, every quarter, there was a new phone coming out. It's like, February or April, May, there's a new phone coming out. And then end of the summer, there was a new phone coming out. And and that technology that's then expired. And so it's a whole thing. I mean, I'm hoping that this whole thing is like a wake up call and a reality check. But you said something about the military. What did you said something about the military? I think we can spend a lot less than we do. Not like a lot less, but we spend way too much fucking money on our military, especially for endless wars and like regime change wars and all that stuff. Like I do think we can be kept safe without having to spend trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions. Especially when we have so many other issues. Like just spread that shit out a little bit. Put a little bit of money into the schools, put a little bit of money into the hospitals, put a little bit of money into, the homeless issue. and then start taking care of the world's problems.
I think on the political landscape, like a lot of times we get, well, why don't we do what Scandinavia does, or why don't we do what Germany does? Well, those countries have the opportunity to do what they do socially because the United States is there policing them with our military. They don't have to spend the money on it. It's a double-edged sword, right? Like, I wholeheartedly support the military. I think that they do good work at the individual level and for society. But I'm in agreement with you that it's got to be spread out somewhere.
Right. Well, the problem is that we spend all this money on sending people to war, and then they come back and they're like, you have to support the troops. If you kneel for the flag, you're a piece of shit. But then the troops come back and we're not giving them housing. We're not making sure that we're taking care of their mental health. We're not taking care of all the stuff that they should automatically get for signing up for service.
Yeah.
And so that's the shit that pisses me off, is like, you're going to fucking shove patriotism down my throat, and then you're not even going to take care of the people that sign up to do that shit.
Yep.
And then you accuse me of being an anti-patriot. So that's the shit that pisses me off. Yeah, I don't know how we got down that little road. What does your hat say? Troublemaker?
I think this side says troublemaker. Yeah, that's my Vibe Cycle nickname, I guess. Yeah, they call me troublemaker there. Like, Vibe Cycle is kind of fun. It's got all these spin bikes, just like any spin studio, but all their bikes have different nicknames on them. And when we were first signed on as instructors, when we get hired on, they ask us to choose a bike that like resonates with you. And this one was just so easy for me. Like, they had other good ones, I thought, but troublemaker is definitely just, that's what I do. I'm a middle child. I mean, my whole life,
I feel like I can see that. I already knew when I asked you why you said that, but I feel you used to throw little snaps inside my mom's car to piss her off. You throw the little firecracker snaps into the.
I don't remember doing that, but I don't doubt that happened.
Oh yeah, and I got smacked for it.
That's probably why I did it. I got to watch you get hit.
I got smacked because I was laughing and she couldn't read. You were in the back seat throwing him into the front seat, and she couldn't reach you, and I was in the front seat laughing. I don't know how I remember all this shit. I smoke so much weed, and I remember all this shit.
We definitely grew up at a time where it was socially acceptable to hit somebody else's kid, at least a little bit, if they were like a good friend.
Yeah.
Could you imagine hitting somebody's kid now? Oh my God.
Dude, do you remember? I'm not gonna throw him under the bus, but it was somebody. I don't know. I'll let you decide if you want to say who it was. Somebody we know called my mom. Do you remember this? When I was riding my bike home, and my mom is like furiously driving down the street. She pulls over. She's like, screams at me. I have no idea what the fuck she's talking about. And she's like, "Were you in on this?" And she said, "Blank called me and told me that you fell off your bike, hit your head, broke your head open, and that I needed to get down there immediately." Do you remember that?
Oh, I don't remember that at all. That's not me like trying to hide it. I really don't remember that.
Yeah, they had to come and apologize. Here, I'll write it down.
Really?
I don't want to say it because I don't want to blow up their spot, but we were younger.
No,
You'll know exactly.
Yeah.
I'll text it to you here. Hold on.
Okay.
I'll tell you after who it was. Actually, no, because I want to know if you.
Man, I feel like something like that. I have a terrible memory. Maybe I should have smoked more weed. It seems like everybody I know that smoked weed has great memories.
I know. All right, see if you can see this.
That doesn't surprise me, but I really don't remember it.
That's funny. Yeah, dude. I still remember that shit. I was riding home. My mom pulled over and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, I have no idea. I wasn't part of that. And I guess he called my mom and was like, "Yeah, your son fell off his bike and broke his head open." And that shit.
Yeah, there were a lot of just crazy people at the time.
Do you
My
remember?
older brother's one of them. He hasn't changed in any any capacity. Like recently,
Oh, I'm friends with him on
he
Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Then you're probably getting more than I do. I am not friends with most of my family on Facebook. I was just getting inundated with political crap that I don't really care to read and whatever. So I was just like, I'll just block them and talk to them on the phone periodically.
Yeah.
Um,
Some
but
people
yeah,
make
he's,
that shit their whole identity. It's like that's all.
I know.
It's like I don't get like I get it, but like at the end of the day, like whoever's in office, it's not really gonna affect. Like you've got, it's gonna affect you depending on who you are. But like, yeah, just these people that bitch and like, it's yeah.
Dude, if there's any big mistake anybody can make, it's that. I used to sit on the other side of that interview table so many times, and like, it's no joke. Like when people say, "Oh, Jobs look into your social media," not only do they look through it, like they print it out and they make jokes about it. Like it's ridiculous how many times people do not get jobs because of the stupid shit they post on Facebook.
Yeah.
But they choose to do it. So
what if your shit's private? Like, well, I don't post stupid shit on Facebook, but like, what if my shit was private? Like, can they still get into it? Or is it just the dumber people just don't even? They're just like, whatever, man. I saw some shit the other day. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I saw something the other day, and it was somebody I know. Like, there's certain people that I keep on my Facebook just because it's entertaining for me. And like, this dude was like straight up did like a drug deal on Facebook. He was looking for something. I forget what type of drug. And some dude hits him up. He's like, "Hey, I got this if you need it." And they're like, "Okay, cool. I'll hit you up. How much?" And they did the whole exchange on. It was like a Facebook post. I'm like, you guys know that this is like completely public right now. Like you just did a whole, like I barely know you and I know that you just did a drug deal. Like anybody can see that shit. So it's just, yeah, I can only imagine the type of shit that people post on there. I don't know if you have it or not, but we live in a neighborhood, it's like an HOA, and they have an app. It's everywhere has it. It's called Nextdoor. And it's almost like you're supposed to post like, oh, you know, something's going on down the street, or if like there's an emergency. It's just basically a way to communicate with your neighbors, and people will use that as like social media type shit. Like they'll post complaints, they'll post like their political opinions on there. I've seen people post about 5G and how it's causing the coronavirus, like all types of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, like that stuff happens all the time, and I know like when we've been interviewing people, you'll see stuff like that pretty regularly. And then what's always funny is it's followed by like usually photos of them with their family, or like, look how beautiful our life is and how happy we are, or whatever. And it's interesting to me. People are funny.
Do you still play drums?
I have a drum set that when my daughter was born, we moved because I have kind of a small house, and we just didn't have room for it. But I do. I still enjoy it. I've also recently picked up the guitar that I suck at, and the ukulele, which I'm mediocre at. A lot easier to learn. I can't do the friggin' F chord on the guitar.
Yeah, I've always had trouble with that. Are you? Do you need to take a piss or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it while we're on the thing.
That's funny. I have my guitar that I need to get back into it. That shit's so frustrating though, because you start playing it and then your fingers cramp up, and like then I stop playing it again. But I really need to get back into it. I can't seem to.
Yeah, I legit thought that maybe my fingers are just too fat to play the guitar, but obviously that's just an excuse to not learn it.
Right.
Yeah, but I enjoy it. I like music. I want the girls to appreciate music, be it like piano or whatever.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you said like one of your favorite parts about doing the spin cycle or spin stuff is because you get to do the DJ shit?
Yeah. So that generally is what we would have listened to in Brockton, though. Like I still love hip hop music. Like it is my favorite stuff to jam to. I think a lot of that is really you and my friendship, because none of my other friends really listened to it. Really at all. Like when I think back, I don't think any of them listened to it. Like Bobby and all those guys, like they would listen to it, but to joke at it and not really like appreciate it. I think it's changed since. Like I think he appreciates all music now, but everybody just like disowned hip hop music. My family, forget it. Like you can never listen to it. And I still love like classic rock and all that stuff that like I grew up with. But hip hop to me is like there's so much in it, and I can't get enough of it. New stuff, old stuff. So yeah, most of my spin classes are all hip hop.
Yeah, I do a playlist to go along with one of the podcasts I do. So I do Mondays and Fridays. I do new songs added every week. So Friday's usually like new music Friday, so it'll be new music, and then Monday's usually just I'll dip into my collection of shit and I'll put it on there. But yeah, I still listen to like I mean obviously hip hop is like my favorite of all the music. But I listen to like I went to Slipknot a couple years back. In the same year I went to like Slipknot, Korn, Marilyn Manson, Rob Zombie. Like I still love metal, and I still like I just can't get enough metal either. But hip hop just I've talked about it before, and my listeners are probably sick of me saying it, but like it's the only music I think that changes and evolves over time. Whereas like if you look at a music like country music and going back, like the way that it changes and evolves is it becomes more like hip hop, and like so that's
right.
Always something that I notice. But yeah, I was looking at onesies for my daughter. I was looking at NWA onesies and like, you know, Nas and all that shit. We actually went and saw Nas last year. That was so dope. Our Earth Gang's really good. They're one of my new favorites. I don't know if you've heard of Earth Gang, but I went and saw them in Tacoma. They're dope. Yeah, there's a lot of good new hip hop. You just have to find it. So I try to make it easier for people by posting it on my shit.
Yeah, I'll have to check out your playlist stuff because I'm always perusing anyways. There's another kind of pseudo genre that was introduced to me recently. I don't know what you would call it. It's like remix genre, but it's like hip hop. There's an artist called Girl Talk, who's a DJ. Who remixes like classic rock, sort of background music with hip hop lyrics and rhythm. It's really hard to describe. Just check it out. It's called Girl Talk.
Girl Talk. I feel like I've heard that name somewhere.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. I like it. I definitely check it out if you're into that type of music. Yeah, you were always more musically inclined in the sense of like just variety. And I mean, every car ride we had to listen to Stained, but aside from car rides.
Well, I used to make CDs for everyone. Like I was the CD plug. I would make like playlists, and I always had different, like as many songs as you could get onto a CD I would have, and I just would have all these different volumes of CDs, and
all legally downloaded too.
Yeah, legally from LimeWire. But what I would do too, and I've talked about this shit before, but it always makes me laugh, is I would add little, because you could download little audio clips. So I'd download little audio clips from porn, and I would throw them into the playlist. So like if you're listening to your shit on blast in traffic, it would just go from like track 6 to 7, and it would just be some girl getting banged for 30 seconds. I don't know if I ever did that to you. I think I did it to Ryan a couple times, like because he would do these long trips and he'd be like, "Hey bro, can you like make me a CD?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I would always do that. I'd throw in like some. He's like, he never would know when it would be coming because it was just a burned disc.
I don't think you ever did that to me.
No, but I always liked doing that. Like, and I thought about getting into like DJ equipment, but I'm like, I have too much shit. I can't get into DJing. I like curating music and finding music and like interviewing artists. Like I just interviewed a guy named he's a hip hop artist named Megaran, and he does like, you should check him out after this. He does video game stuff, like not just video game stuff, but he'll do like pop culture. Like when The Mandalorian came out, he did his version called Randalorian because he's Megaran. But he can actually rap. Like he's not like a gimmicky, you know, it's not cheesy, it's not corny. And so he came on and talked to me. So that one's going to be coming out. This will be released on Friday, so it'll have come out on Tuesday. So check him out. He's dope. He's got some cool.
Mega Ran. Is he on Spotify?
Yeah, he's on Spotify, and he has like a lot of his beats will incorporate video game music too. So it's like some of them are like straight beats, and then some of them he'll incorporate like so it'll go from like the video game beat into piano, and it's really dope. So and
Yeah,
really
I'll
nice
definitely
guy.
check that out. Mega Ran 9. That's his
Mega Ran.
album.
What's
Mega
that?
Ran. Well, I'm seeing Mega Ran 9. That looks like an album though.
Yeah,
But
and
it's got
he
Mega on it, so I assume that's him.
yeah, and he's got like I think he used to rap under the name Random, and you have to listen to the podcast to get more details. But I asked him why he changed his name from Random, and basically he's like, if you enter random rapper, it's just gonna bring up any random rapper. He's like, the funny thing is, before when I was going under the name Random, it would you couldn't get it to go back to that. Now he's like, if you put in random rapper, I'm the first thing that pops up. I'm like, well, kind of came full circle.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're just getting to about an hour. This was fun. If you want to come on again, like I said, I'm doing extra ones. So, and if you are looking for something to get into, you can always do like a fitness podcast. Just an idea. I think everybody should have a podcast that's good at it. So I thought you did well. And
I don't know that I'd be good at it, but I'm happy to be a guest on yours.
well, I mean, if you're talking to other people, like you don't think you'd have fun talking to other people in the fitness world about like different shit.
True.
That's just not like fitness is one part of what I do. So like, I don't like to only talk about fitness, but I think right now with everybody stuck inside, it's good to know that you should, that's one thing that you should be doing is definitely getting your exercise in. Because that shit helps your immune system. That's going to make your immune system stronger. It's going to make your lungs healthier. And it sounds like this shit's like a respiratory thing. So get working out. Dan, do you have, are you posting regularly workouts and shit on your Instagram?
Yeah, for the most part on my it's my Vibe Cycle Instagram account. It's Troublemaker Vibe. I post usually what I'm doing for the day, unless it's boring stuff that no one really cares about. Like today I'm going to go for a run, so I'll just like put how many miles. But a lot of times if I don't post like myself, I'll tag other people that are doing cool shit. There's so many good workouts out there that don't require a gym, that just require commitment. And yeah,
I know. I was supposed to do I signed up for my first run, and it was supposed to be in May, and they canceled it already. So I had a feeling that was going to get canceled, but whatever. I'm going to continue to work out like I was supposed to do it. So,
heck yeah, man.
But anyway, we'll have to do this again. Did you already say your Instagram page if you want people to go on there and find you?
Yeah, my Instagram is Troublemaker Vibe. I think it's like MKR. I should know this, but I don't. You can. Yeah, Troublemaker VIB.
Okay.
Check me out. If you have questions, you can shoot me up. No, not shoot me up. Too much hip hop. Don't shoot me up. Hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to share workouts, what I'm doing. Hey, dude, it's been awesome chatting with you. It's good to catch up. I hate that COVID-19 is making me catch up with a lot of old people, but hey, I'll take it.
Yeah, and it's fun to do these little like podcasts from time to time just to kind of check in because people are all over the world right now, and so it's like kind of interesting to see how it's affecting everybody differently. So
yeah, before we go, how many people are tuning into your podcast, and can you give like a 2-minute history of it and where it's going? And
wait, what did you ask me?
Can you give me like a 2-minute history of your podcast and like how many people are kind of tuning in and what you expect of it?
So I started the podcast last year. It'll be a year in July. I mean, we were kind of messing around. Like I think it was like April when I first started messing around with it. But July is when the first episode of both. So I launched 2 shows at the beginning. There's Itty Bitty Podcast, which is different topics each week, different guests. It's just kind of the stuff I'm interested in. So I've done comic books, I've done rappers, I've had cool artists, like outside the box artists on. And I have a list of people that I'm still working on, talking on, getting on. And then Choice Nugs Only is one. It's more like, we do it a weekly thing. I had a co-host on that one. and he had been doing it forever and then just disappeared on me, like completely just stopped calling me, stopped hitting me up, and then reached
Like a
back.
bad Tinder date.
Yeah, and like we had done it for a while, and like his face was on the artwork. Like he had been doing it so long, I put his face on the artwork, and so that kind of threw that show off for a little bit. But now it's back on track, and I do that with my buddy Alex, and so we do that one remote. So that's actually been fun because he's out of LA, and so he's in like a more populated area, so it's been kind of nice to see how it's been with him. But so anyway, and as far as listeners, it's been growing. I mean, I steadily between the two shows and YouTube and everything, I probably have around 150 to 200 like subscribers. So it's not too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing. It's still a small little following, but I'm working on making it bigger. And I've been taking advantage of everything, not taking advantage, but taking opportunity with people being bored. And so I've been trying to get better guests. So if I've got a couple that I'm reaching out to today, that I'm hoping will do it. So yeah, that's
Sure.
about it.
Well, I'll put a little post on my Instagram. Not that I have a ton of followers either, but every little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate it. All right, well, I'm going to let you go. It was a dope little, this will be airing this Friday, so this will be coming out the end of the week as a bonus episode. So appreciate everybody listening. To make sure you subscribe, rate, review, tip your servers and bartenders, or whatever. I know they're not open right now, but tip the people if you get takeout, and don't cough on people. Stay 6 feet away. No playing.